In today's video, I'm going to share with you this strange method that reduced my chronic pain by about 75% in approximately 30 minutes. I'm also going to share with you 3 cases from my life where I felt like my chronic pain almost went away or completely went away. What exactly happened and how it all went. And then I will share with you 3 things that you can do every day. And when you do these things regularly, you're starting to notice your pain going down as well. I want to be clear what kind of pain I'm talking about here. I am not talking about acute pain where you are hurting because something happened to you physically, you fell and now you broke something or you tore something. What I'm talking about here is a chronic pain or other chronic sensation. In my case, it was also chronic insomnia that stuck around no matter what I tried. Many of these times people are going to doctors and getting the supplements and treatments, but nothing is helping. And this is the type of chronic pain that I'm talking about. It's also known as TMS, tension myositis syndrome. It's also known as neuroplastic pain. There are many names. And before we start, remember that I'm not a doctor and everything that I share here is based on my personal experience and what I've learned, and it is not intended to be used as medical advice or treatment. Okay, so what was this strange method that reduced my chronic pain by about 75% in about 30 minutes? It was somatic practice. And I remember the night when I did it, and it's really fresh in my memory as if it happened yesterday. I remember that I was sitting down on my balcony to do the sequence of exercises that I had learned from a podcast that I was listening to. The podcast was called Regulate and Rewire. And in it, the host was leading us through a sequence of physical exercises. They were not like a workout, but they were movements, body movements, shaking the body, coming to a calm and settled state, using our eyes, using our vision, using our ears, using our skin to regulate our nervous system. And I remember so well what happened when I was doing one particular exercise, and that was called orienting. If you've never done orienting, it basically means that you are looking out into the distance and keeping your gaze there. And of course, there were before that several exercises that we had done already before, but when we got to this point, I suddenly felt this big relaxation in my body. And it wasn't even that the pain just switched off at that point. It was like a big, just like peace came all over me. And I felt really relaxed and really at ease with myself. And it's almost difficult to describe, but this internal shift was really, really noticeable. And we continued these exercises and I started to cry. I got emotional. I realized that this feeling that I am experiencing right now as I'm doing this somatic work is something that I have been missing for a really long time, something that I have been craving for a really long time. And I'm experiencing it right now. And it was such an awesome and really, really powerful feeling to have. And at the end of this podcast, I don't remember exactly what the last exercise was. Maybe it was a self-hug or something like that. I really felt so much lighter. And when I stood up, I noticed that the sensations that I typically had in my back were almost gone. They were approximately 75% gone. And that was a really, really amazing experience. And it wasn't only, like I said, the pain, it was this internal state of peace and calm and relaxation that I experienced after doing this session. And after that, I was so excited about what I had just found. I started learning more and more about it and practicing more and more. And it was about 3 weeks in that I saw my friend who hadn't seen me for a while, and she asked me, "Oh my God, you look so different. What have you been doing?" And one of the things she told me, she said, "Your eyes are so bright." And I was like, I've been doing this somatic work and it really has helped me to not only reduce my pain, but also helped me to feel so much more at peace and calm inside. This was the time where in about 30 minutes, I felt a big reduction in my back pain. And since then, I started doing it regularly. The second time when I felt a huge reduction in my symptoms, and I remember they were almost entirely gone for a little while, was when I did something called imaginary expression. And I learned this from Jim Prusak. And the idea here is that in your mind, you can fully express what you are feeling. You can visualize what you want to do, even if it's not appropriate or good to do this, in our environment, in our society. I worked with Jim for a while, and Jim asked me about my childhood and the things that happened. And something that came up in this session was that I had been bullied a little bit in middle school. It wasn't too terrible, it wasn't physical, but it was bullying. And this feeling really came up in me because with Jim, we also worked a lot on emotions, which was great and really where things started to truly shift for me. And we talked about these instances where I was bullied, and he asked me, if you could take yourself back in this time, what did you feel and what did you want to do? And I realized that I felt a lot of anger. I felt this raw anger, and my hands would make a fist, and I was like, I want to beat these guys up. And he said, go for it. In your mind, you're free to do whatever you want. And this was the imaginary expression. And I literally visualized that thing. I literally visualized what I would like to do, what I wanted to do as a child, but I couldn't because I was a child. And it was intense. It did get intense. And the result of it was that I felt amazing relief. And after we had this coaching session and we hung up and I went out for a walk, I realized I felt so free. I felt so free because I had moved something really significant that had been causing me this pain. And I would literally move my body, move my back, move my hips where I would have that pain typically, and it wasn't there. The third time that I remember from my chronic pain journey where the pain completely went away was when I was on vacation. A couple of years ago, I went back to Estonia, where I'm from, and we had a really good time with my mom. We would hang out and we would go to this farm, and it was like a nice summer day. And I remember there was a hammock. You could just, lay down in a hammock and walk around the farm. It was just beautiful. And I felt so relaxed. I didn't have the typical everyday stresses and problems and things. And I remember I just realized that, oh my gosh, the pain is gone. It's not here. What was it then? It was just the state that I was in. I was in this really relaxed state where I didn't really have too many problems. I was able to fully let go. My body was relaxed and at ease. And that's why the pain completely went away. These 3 cases didn't mean that the pain never came back anymore. But what it did mean is that I found something that when I do these things regularly, then they train my brain and they train my nervous system and create more safety in it. This is why I have the 3 tips for you that I'm going to share with you today that you can do every day to train your brain, to train your nervous system, so that little by little the pain starts to fade away. It's not only these 1 or 2 rare instances when it happens, but if you practice this stuff all the time and regularly, then ultimately the pain will go away. So here are my recommendations for you based on what I just shared with you. The first thing, somatic practices. What these practices do is that they help you to regulate your nervous system. If you're a person who's often anxious and on edge and maybe has these jittery feelings inside of her body, then what you need to do is to start catching those moments when you feel this way, when you feel like this isn't right. I don't want to feel this way. This is too intense. I don't feel relaxed at ease. So what you want to do in these moments is to catch them and then do a physical somatic movement that helps you to take that intensity down a little bit. And this is why the somatic exercises are really, really powerful. For example, when you feel a lot of anxiety, you can start by shaking it out, right? You could shake your hands and arms and whole body. You do that for a little while, and then you move on to some other exercises that are more calming and soothing for your nervous system. And this is where we use the skin and the touch and the visual and the voice and all of these things. If you would like to experience some of these somatic exercises and regulate your nervous system quickly, go ahead and get my guide, 3 somatic exercises for nervous system regulation. You can find it in the description and show notes. I have done some of these sequences on YouTube and on my podcast as well. So I'm going to put the links in the show notes and in the description so you can follow along. But somatic exercises will not fix your chronic pain. I know that it is popular, people are talking about it more and more, but they are not the only thing that's going to change everything. They are the thing that takes the edge off, and then you may still have to go deeper. Now, if you remember what I said about imaginary expression, what I actually did there was asking, what do I feel and what do I need right now? And these are the questions that I encourage you to ask yourself multiple times a day. What do I feel right now and what do I need at the moment? And then I want you to give this thing to yourself. Try to think about it from the perspective of a child, because usually there's something that is from the past that's an older trigger. And when a child felt this way, what did they need? And maybe they felt anger and frustration. Then maybe they wanted to stomp their feet, or maybe they wanted to shout, or they wanted to do something physical. Now, could you do that? Maybe you shout into a pillow, maybe you stomp your feet. Or maybe the child in you realizes that I really want to cry. So you can cry, and you can also maybe wrap your arms around yourself to give yourself this calming and soothing feeling that you needed. And here's another thing. If something comes up all the time, let's say something triggers you all the time and it's similar, the same stuff happens, then it is really helpful to try to look into your past a little bit and see where this thing could have started. For example, in my case and with the bullying, the experience that I had often was that I am not good enough. I'm not as good as others and nobody likes me. And when I got deeper and deeper and deeper and realized, okay, yes, this is from around middle school when these things happened, this is how I realized that, yes, it's the feeling of shame, it's also the feeling of anger, and what did I want to do in this moment? And this is where the anger came up, and this is where the punching came up, and this is why it was really useful for me to do that imaginary expression. It's so helpful to sometimes go back and think, what is the first time that I remember where this happened, and see this from the perspective of your inner child. What does the child feel right now, and what does she need right now? It could also be something like you always feel like, oh, I did this wrong, or I didn't do this perfectly and I'm gonna get in trouble. So if you often have this feeling, then try to go back and see where was it that it maybe started. And you likely find something in your childhood. You might find something like, oh, this happened in school all the time, or with my parents, they were not happy when I didn't bring home the perfect grades. So now you're always, as an adult, you're always terrified that you're gonna get in trouble. So now when you find that old thing, ask yourself, what did I feel and what did I need? And maybe you needed to hear that no matter what you do, we love you. Or no matter what grade you got, it's okay. And maybe you needed a hug. Or maybe you needed to go and have fun. So try to imagine that, bring it into life in your body, because this is how you can shift your nervous system and find that ease and relaxation again. And we know that spending more time in this easeful and relaxed state is what creates regulation in the nervous system, and that's how the sensations start to go down as well. And my third piece of advice for you is to just chill out more. Rest more and do more fun things. We have work and family and things we have to do, and there is a lot of stress. So my third experience when I said the pain completely went away was on vacation. And yes, it would be super fun to be on vacation all the time, but it's just not always possible. But you can do this in your mind. You can still take your mind and your body into this memory where you felt so amazing. The story that I shared, I was laying in a hammock and I was like, oh, I'm so relaxed. I could go there in my mind's eye. I could go back there and find that same level of relaxation and ease in my body. But if you can, in everyday life, find things that really bring you joy, that help you relax, that help you to get away from those screens all the time, that help you to, enjoy yourself, go out, play, nature, movement. This is another thing. Movement is so important. And I know that if you have these chronic sensations, then you may not want to move too much because you're terrified. But if you are dealing with these mind-body symptoms or TMS, then movement is not dangerous. And a big part of my work is to help people who have these chronic sensations start moving more. And I'm a big proponent of strength training and walking because these things really empower you and prove to you that there's nothing wrong with you. You absolutely can do it. When you start practicing these things regularly, first noticing when you are in dysregulation and shaking it out and doing some somatic movements to calm yourself down, when you start asking yourself regularly, and also right after the somatic part, what do I feel right now and what do I need right now? And start giving yourself that thing. And when you make more time for relaxation and ease and joy and fun and play, you will notice if you do this stuff regularly, can't be just one and done. But if you do this stuff regularly, you're going to notice that you're going to have much more ease in your body and your symptoms and sensations start to fade away too. If you enjoyed today's video, please go ahead and check out the next one too, because I know you're going to love it. Take care.